Welcome back. We're back with another segment as we look back into our past with the history of music here in the city of Detroit. We have with us a special guest this afternoon. We're going to allow him to introduce himself to you as we once again look back into the musical history here in the city of Detroit.
My name is McGregor, George McGregor. I'm a musician, producer, record producer. I left and came back to Detroit in '62, and I was a part of the recording scene, all over Detroit. And we made a lot of records. And made a lot of hits. And that was our job, is to make hits, and that's what we did. And thank God I was a part of that era that made history all around the world. And I thank God for it every day.
George, Detroit was a city where a lot of musical magic was made. How did you get started here in Detroit with your musical career?
Well, I got started when I was, back during the time when I came along, everybody had pianos in their houses. And if you were 3, 4, 5 years old, you sat up and you plunked on the piano until you learned to play something that made sense. Well, that's one of the ways I started out, and I had sisters who played instruments. And one sister, Mary, my sister, she put the first pair of drumsticks in my hand when I was about 5 years old. And we just had people who at that time, I can't find a word for it, but fraternized, if you will, with each other. And we had people like in the neighborhoods like Kenny Burrell, Earl Van Dyke. I can't say, it was just a lot of them. Joe Hunter and all of these people, and we just, we would meet up and we would play, and we learned from each other. We learned from each other and learned to support each other. And it eventually turned, everybody was jazz musicians then, because that's what it was bebop and jazz. And the R&B thing came along a little bit later, but the jazz musicians were the ones who really, I really believe this and feel this and know this, they were the ones who really took R&B to where it was, because of the theoretical applications that they could put to the music of somebody who was playing, a simplistic blues. These guys had a musical education, and you see what it turned into. And it was just, it was unbelievable, the talent that was here. A lot of people don't know, I don't know all of what a lot of people do not, they honestly do not realize what came through Detroit, going all the way back to studios here, landmarks here. They don't realize what's here. They honestly don't. They say Motown, Motown, and they talk about how this person put this together and this person. As far as I'm concerned, to bring all of that talent into one place and to turn it into what it turned into, that was godly. That's the way I look at it. That was godly, because no man could have done that. Not put all of that together where it turned out to be all around the world. And right today, people are still they're mesmerized over the Motown scene. But it was more than just Motown. It was Detroit that. It's just hard for me to put it into words. It was just Detroit. And you would go off, you would go to school, or you would have school right here, because they would teach you. When you go out there to play, you would learn. And it's just phenomenal. It's hard to put into words what happened here, and I don't believe any man could have put that together. I honestly don't. It just is mind-boggling today And what can I say?
Right, right. Well, it's like you mentioned, though, that it wasn't just Motown, that Detroit was a musical mecca of talent. There was talent all through the city of Detroit. So what were some of the places that you experienced good talent of people? Now, Motown wasn't their own company. You say you played for a number of other artists as well. What were some of the other companies or record companies that were here that was prospering as well?
Up on Woodward there around Canfield. I don't know what it's called. Well, we had Fortune Records here. That's where everybody based in, Jack and Deborah Brown. And up on Woodward, it was called Record Row. And almost every record company, or fledgling record company in the world, I would say, had some kind of office there. They had some kind of office there. And a lot of people don't realize it, but Detroit, all the way up to the 60s, had over 400 record labels. Independent record labels. So everybody was coming here and they were taking, and there were so many things, like there's a place called United Sound, which is a studio. Over there at United, Bix Beiderbecke, and people like that, Tommy Dorsey, people like that, they used to cut records there. They used to cut records there, and we talking about back in the 20s. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do, they just don't know this history. And then we had, we used to build our own studios. We would go and get, they would go and get insulation. We would go in there and we would work and build our own studios, not knowing what we were doing, except that we wanted a studio, mm-hmm. you know, and to try and deaden the sound. People just worked together. Everybody worked together. It was like, it was a common goal, and the bottom line was to make a record. And the key, I really feel, is everybody wanted everybody else to have a hit. That's what's so phenomenal when I think back about it. Everybody wanted, if we would work with one person and say, okay, we got you a hit, they say, now it's time for you to get a hit. Okay. And that's the way it worked. Mm-hmm. And hits were just, they were just flowing out of Detroit. And that's the way I see it. And what can I say? It's I miss it.
Right, right. So there were a lot of opportunities. Or you say you were a musician, so you played on songs, and you were a producer.
Right.
So what were some of the records that you were involved in as a producer?
Well, just about everything. I say just about because it wasn't everything that came out of Detroit other than Motown. Mm-hmm. Basically, I was playing on it after 60, you know, after 62, starting at 62. And then over Golden World, we had the San Remo Golden Strings, we had Edwin Starr, mm-hmm. we had J.J. Barnes. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to think of so many people. We had the Debonaires, and then I went really independent. Well, I was independent all the time, and the first million seller I had was It's All Over Casanova.
Okay.
And that's 1967. And then from there were just various things. I played with everybody. Then we would travel. They would call, we traveled over to Chicago. We cut John Lee Hooker. I'm just trying to think of some of them, the Artistics.
Okay.
It's just, you know, so many of them. They would call us for a session because a lot of people didn't realize we were what they called tracking then. Mm-hmm. And all we would do is they would take the chord sheets. They would write the stuff down. We didn't know who was going to be dubbed in on it. Okay. We didn't know who was going to be dubbed in, or they might have it for one person, and maybe they couldn't do it, and the next thing we know, the record would come out. You know, and somebody else is on that record, mm-hmm. you know. And it's just so many of them. It's hard to mention. We did the Cool Jerk. That
Okay.
was the last session done at Golden World.
Okay.
When Motown bought it, you know. And we just, and I think I mentioned that the San Remo Golden Strings,
San
you
Remo,
know,
right.
all of that stuff that came out of Golden World.